Top 10 web series like House of Dragon. The magic of Game of Thrones has made its triumphant return to television on Sunday evenings thanks to House of the Dragon. With more than 9.3 million people tuning in, episode 10 of the first season of House of the Dragon was HBO's most-watched season finale since the conclusion of the Game of Thrones series in 2019. These huge and violent fantasy stories may be tough to convert to the film and can be difficult to see as well. However, audiences are kept tuned in and disgusted by intense action, twists, and contentious sex scenes. While you wait for Season 2 to plunge you into a battle full of dragons and royal bickering, you may satisfy your craving for fantasy set in the Middle Ages here. The good news is that there is no shortage of shows that fall into this category and include slashing swords, obscure fantasy languages, and prophecies about the end of the world. The solution is as simple as exchanging one name for another, such as Aragorn for Egon, for example. We proceed in the same manner as before. If you want to keep on with your binge watching of your favorite episodes from your dreams, these shows are the next best thing. 10. Game of Thrones. If you are just getting started in the world of Westeros, this is the next step that makes the most sense for you to do, especially when you consider the fact that the House of the Dragon would not exist without Game of Thrones. Even while HBO intended for viewers to be able to enjoy the new prequel series even if they had never watched Game of Thrones before, having knowledge of the original series is certainly beneficial when trying to comprehend the craziness of HBO's latest popular series. 9. The Rings of Power. While the events of House of the Dragon and the Rings of Power take place more than a century and a half before the events of Game of Thrones, the events of the Rings of Power take place more than 5,000 years before the events of the Lord of the Rings. However, beyond that, there are no other parallels. To begin, House of the Dragon travels through time at a faster pace, in contrast to Rings of Power, which travels through time at a slower pace. You won't have to worry about the characters in the Rings of Power being subjected to any type of sexual harassment or physical assault at any time over the course of the story. This is another advantage of playing this game. That is certainly a welcome departure from the ordinary, isn't it? 8. The Shadow and Bone. Following the conclusion of the Game of Thrones series, there were a number of projects that aimed to win over the hearts of the show's devoted fans. Some of these ventures were successful, while others were not. Shadow and Bone was the one that stood out to me most of all. It is probable that Viserys considered his daughter to be the chosen one. Nonetheless, Alina really fulfills the responsibilities of that role in her account of the events. She possesses a power that, assuming no one else discovered it before, has the ability to save everyone and everything on the entire planet. There is also so much love and suffering that it will make you want to die. And none of it is between cousins, nor is it between aunts and uncles, nor is it between siblings. You will want to die because of this. 7. The Last Kingdom. The Last Kingdom is a series that is brutally realistic and features superb writing. It is set during the time of the Viking invasions of Britain and takes place around that time. The plot of Uhtred Ragnarsson is advanced throughout the series by utilizing the charisma of its many different characters. At the beginning of the novel, King Alfred the Great is defending his kingdom against Norse invaders. At the same time, a man named Uhtred, who was born a Saxon but raised by Vikings, is attempting to claim his ancestral birthright. King Alfred the Great is defending his realm against Norse invaders. Invaders from the north were waging war against King Alfred's realm. Both the atmosphere of the era and the set design are quite accurate representations of the historical period. In the off chance that wasn't enough information for you, the storyline is centered on the lengthy and adventurous history of Britain, and it spans 5 very epic seasons of television entertainment. 6. Vikings. The history of the first Norsemen is explored in an enthralling and frequently bloody manner in the television series Vikings. The story of Ragnar Lothbrok is told over the course of the show. The television drama Vikings do an excellent job of blending historical accuracy with imaginative elements. It has a lot of dramatic tension and tries to be historically accurate most of the time. As a consequence of this, the voyage through the lives of the infamous warriors of the North is made in an entertaining manner, and it moves at a pace that makes sense given the context. In spite of the fact that later seasons of the program take some artistic license with the degree of realism that was established in previous seasons, and in spite of the fact that the tale loses momentum before the conclusion of the series, there is still enough to enjoy here. 5. Babylon 5. Babylon 5 is one of the works of science fiction that comes the closest to reproducing the political intrigue and opposing states portrayed in House of the Dragon. It was initially made available to the public in 1993, but it has since proven to be one of the most excellent works in the science fiction genre. Because of this, it is an important piece of viewing for everyone who has an interest in the genre. The story's action takes place aboard the Earth Alliance space station known as Babylon 5 in the middle of the 23rd century. It just so happens that this station is located at the significant epicenter of not just political drama, but also racial unrest, as well as a number of different wars. The strength of its narrative has allowed the science fiction classic Babylon 5 to remain popular for such a long period of time, despite the fact that the film's visual effects are now more than 3 decades old. 4. Black Sails. If you took off all of the fantasy components from House of the Dragon and replaced them with swashbuckling pirates and high-seas shenanigans, you'd have Black Sails. This nautical epic takes place over the course of 4 distinct seasons, and in addition to exhibiting excellent visuals and a complex plot, it does an outstanding job of portraying the spirit of pirates. Instead of focusing on the archetypical swashbuckling Jack Sparrows, the television series Black Sails examines the true nature of piracy through the eyes of a varied array of characters. It is absolutely worth continuing to watch the show even though the first season moves at a somewhat leisurely pace because the action is gritty and nasty. After that moment, things really start to get up and become interesting. 3. Rome. There is a very excellent explanation for why Rome is regarded as one of the very best historical television shows that HBO has ever produced. Rome is among the most significant achievements in the history of television, right up there with Band of Brothers. The show was originally conceived as a miniseries, however, it was expanded and ultimately turned into a feast for both the eyes and the ears. The events of the novel take place in the 1st century BC, and the main characters are 2 Roman soldiers named Lucius Vorenus and Titus Pollio. The unrelenting severity of their job is portrayed in Rome in all of its gloriously deadly beauty. The film also features some of the most impressive production elements and pictures that a viewer could want to see in a historical epic, both of which contribute to the glorification of the subject matter of the film. Even though the show was abruptly canceled following the conclusion of its 2nd season, Rome is still an absolute requirement for watching any fan of historical drama. 2. The Tudors. The reign of King Henry VIII and his numerous marriages serve as the series' dramatic focal point. Although it doesn't always stick to the historical record, The Tudors manages to keep viewers entertained despite its many departures from historical accuracy. This doesn't even take into account the incredible work that went into designing the costumes and sets. If the first few episodes of The Tudors have sparked your attention, you should certainly commit to seeing where the tale goes to see what happens throughout the course of the show's 4 seasons. The Borgias. The Borgias is a television series that takes place in the 15th century and immerses viewers in the fight for power that occurs between Pope Alexander VI and his sons over Italy. This historical drama is not only interesting and well-written but also gorgeously costumed. It combines murder, strife, and fragile relationships with the purpose of creating a captivating effect. The storyline is interesting, and those who stay with it will be rewarded with some wonderful surprises, but I can't say any more than that without giving anything away. That's it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you press the like and subscribe buttons before going.